Hey, what's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about being the real you. Being seen, being heard, being understood is something that happens, the real you, that happens by your close friends, by your close connections. Not everybody's going to get you, and that is just fine. Today, we're going to talk about what happens or what you should do when people just don't want to know the real you. Are you ready? Let's go. So not too long ago, I met someone that was really cool. I thought it was really cool. They had a lot of stories, a lot of things to share, and I intended to develop a friendship with them. I wanted to see more about who they were, and I wanted them to see more about me and who I am, because I'm always evolving, and I imagine they're always evolving too. But the point is that I wanted to know more about them, and I wanted to be able to share more about me. So this person just demonstrated in all the ways that I can think of that they just weren't interested, but not in an overt kind of, I don't want to talk to you directly way. Because they did make communication attempts with me. They reached out to me to hang out, to do things together. So they did reach out to me. They gave me the impression that they were interested in meeting with me. And I thought, of course, this is what I want. This is like, if I could check the criteria off, if I want to connect with people, I want you to reach out and say hello. Talk to me. Talk about things. I like that. And that shows that you're interested and you're thinking of me. I'm looking for that. So good. Checkbox. You got it. So this person did these things. However, when we actually met up for the conversation, it was more one-sided and disinterested in me than anything. And I don't believe that they did this consciously. This is what I think. This is just me getting inside my head and looking at the situation, because they invited me. I think perhaps they were looking for some kind of connection. They invited me more than once to a few different places to do a couple of things together. And I'm like, this is good. Check box. But when I get there, one of the things that they did was that they interrupted me quite a bit, and they interrupted and talked. They just talked. And it was wild to me at first when I first experienced this, because look, I'm a social connections coach. I know what it is that I'm looking for. And I'm like, did you just change the subject? Like, why? How come? And the thing that got me is that, of course, sometimes we want to change the subject about things, but they had talked for a considerable amount of time about their day and their experiences and what was going on with them. And I listened and I was like, this is interesting. And I was learning about them because it's new. I'm sitting there absorbing, I'm figuring out who they are and how they're showing up to me. And then when they break, it'll be my turn. It'll be my turn to share. And they finally asked me, how was your day? Or when I interject and start talking about how my day is. And so it happened, the turn where they started to slow down with their thing. And they said, enough about me. Let's talk about you. All right. Not even how are you really, but let's talk about you. How are you? All right. So I start to answer the question so we can engage in conversation. And they just seemed disinterested. They didn't really even ask me any questions about what was going on with me. They didn't ask any follow-up questions, any curiosities. That's one of the things that I look for too in connecting with other people, is that if they're curious, are they paying attention to what I said? Are you curious about where I'm from and what I did and how my day was and why I did such and such and what was beneficial for me for blah, blah, blah. I'm curious about that for them, and I also want them to know me. So I hope that they be curious about that for me. And that curiosity is key for me personally, is because I really want somebody to help me see myself in a different point of view. So the curiosity about asking me about myself gets me to prompt myself to think about how I show up. And I really enjoy that. I really enjoy seeing myself from their point of view. It's really amazing. So that's what I look for in friendships and connections. And this person just wasn't interested. They, in fact, was like, oh, we're going to stop talking about that, and we're going to do some more talking about me. We're going to do it. It's hard to make friends out here, right? It's hard to make friends. And so this relationship or this connection didn't last very long, because I'm like, I know this isn't how people treat me. They really want to know the real you. They really want to know the real me. They really want to know the real whoever I am, what my experiences were, what my history, my hobbies, my habits, all of those things. They want to know them about me, and they ask. And when I tell them, they listen. And the person in front of me was not demonstrating that. They were not demonstrating that at all. So, in fact, one of the most remarkable things about, I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about just one of the most remarkable things about this is that we must have hung out about 3 times. And at the 3rd time, I was just super curious. I was doing some research and learning more about who is around this person and how this person shows up with other people. So they invited me to an event. And I made the trek to go to this event. And it was hosted by people that they knew, right? They knew some of these people there. But I get there and they make an introduction to me or something like that. But, I'm going to do my social connections thing. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to chill. I'm going to introduce myself and make conversation with people. And, I just figured the person that invited me was just catching up with the people that they knew. I don't need to tag along with them. I don't need to be behind them. I know how to talk to people. In fact, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to connect with other people. And then they come up to me after about an hour or so, and they say, hey, I'm leaving. And I laugh at this because I'm like, wow, you invited me to this place and you want to leave. Like, you invited me, and I kind of thought that you wanted me to meet with other people. We were going to talk to each other, and we didn't end up talking to each other because it looked like you were trying to connect with the people that were hosting. That's fine, right? I understand that. But then the next words you say to me is that you're leaving. I'm like, wow, that sucked. But I share that with you because, that person just wasn't interested in knowing me. They weren't interested in knowing me. And now I know more of the signs and signals of how that shows up. So if you're a person who's likely to leave at a place, likely to leave somebody, invite them and then leave them there, that doesn't feel really good. I imagine that doesn't feel really good for anybody. It didn't feel really good for me. But I was like, I'm going to make the most of this. I learned what I needed to learn about this person. I'm going to learn about the other people that are here and to connect with other people there. And I make a few connections, but then I ended up leaving. I'm like, well, there's nothing else to know. And I went on about my night. And I'm sharing this with you again is because that person didn't want to know the real me. They were just bored, I imagine. They were just bored, and they were used to having somebody's energy around them so that they can just have somebody tag along and be like, I can't believe you're leaving me. Oh, no. That's not what I said when they left. I said, okay, have a good night. I'll be here. I'm going to hang out and I'm going to talk to a few people. And they were like, yeah, I really wanted you to have fun here. I'm so glad that you're here and you're going to stay. And I'm like, sure, yeah, that's exactly what I planned on doing. So you go and have a good night. And of course, that was it. People who want to know the real you don't do stuff like that. They give you their focused attention, right? They don't interrupt you when you're telling them something important unless they truly cannot understand you, because they're so committed to understanding you that they have to just say, hey, I can't understand you. Please slow down. I was following you up until this point. They're committed to understanding and knowing you, the real you, the things that are interesting and important to you. They put time, energy, and effort into you, right? So if you're afraid to bring up topics that interest you around people, or if they're cutting you off, or if they're just dismissing you, you are not around the people that want to know the real you. And you need to get to those places to people to know the real you. So you're going to find that people who want to know the real you like a lot of the things that you do. They're a reflection of who you are. You want to be conscious and you want to pay attention to what's important to you and not shy away from talking about it. That's how you get stuck with people who don't like the real you. They don't end up knowing you. They don't get an opportunity to say how they feel about your experiences because perhaps you hide them because you're afraid of that rejection that comes along. But it's a natural part of life. You have to allow them to say, hey, I'm not interested in you. And when that happens in your brain, it flips. Your mindset, it'll flip. When you get to this piece, you flip your mindset and you're like, okay, you're not interested in me. Well, good, because I want somebody who's interested in me, so I don't want to be with you either. It just makes sense. It sucks because they figured it out first. And I think some people get upset about that. The other person figured it out first. They rejected me first. Well, okay. But you have the knowledge now. You have the knowledge of how you fit with each other. And you know that it's not going to work. So great. That's it. You can let go of the frustration of not being the first to discover you didn't want to be with this person, or not rejecting them first. You know it, they know it, and you can go on about your life. Another piece of mindset that you have to, that will benefit you greatly if you adopt. You know, when I reflect on that experience with the person that I just described, it just came to me that one of the things I didn't do was clearly say that you interrupted me and I didn't like that. That's one thing I didn't do. And so I have to be more conscious of that myself. But I knew that, oh man, this isn't going to work. After they did that the first time, and then the second time, I'm like, oh boy, then it's got a pattern going on. So one of the things I didn't do, and something that is difficult, but I recommend, is to bring it to their consciousness. To say, hey, you know, you interrupted me when I was about to talk about my day, and see how they respond to that. Because if they really want to know you, it'll come to their consciousness and they'll be like, oh snap, I did that. I really wanted to know about you, but sometimes I just talk too, I don't care if you talk too much. Tone that down and make space for me. Sometimes people aren't able to make space for you. They're not capable, may want to, but they're not capable of controlling their impulses, and they just gotta talk. Or they're thinking of something inside of their head and there's no room for your ideas and your thoughts. Let those people go too. That is not your problem. It really isn't. You can bring it to their attention, but if you spend too much time and energy trying to fix them and mold them into something that's different from who they are, then you don't like them. You don't. You don't like them. And when you figure that you don't like them, their actions and behaviors, you let them go. Go find that person who's doing the thing that you want to do. You want them to do. Go. Let it go. Let it go. So I talked about bringing it to their awareness. So do it once, twice, just so they understand. And then you can just let go if it doesn't fit for you. If that behavior doesn't change, let go. Because you know that you want something different. If you put your time and energy into fixing somebody, you didn't like them in the first place, go find someone who doesn't want to be fixed or doesn't need to be fixed, because nobody needs to be quote unquote fixed. Actually, they are who they are, and you accept them or you don't. And they, in turn, that person who is whoever they are out there, wants to know the real you, unchanged, unfiltered, unaltered. Go find that person. You got this. I'll be right back with the answer Reddit question. Are you tired of being around people who just don't get you? Have you been putting yourself out there but not able to find anybody that matches your vibe? You're not alone. Making friends, especially as an adult, is hard. My name's Coach Lee. I'm a social connections coach, and I want to help you find your tribe. I have a 3-step coaching program for groups and individuals that's designed to help you get to the right place, to meet the right people, to have the right kind of conversations that leave you feeling fulfilled, appreciated, and understood. After going through the Find Your Tribe coaching program, you'll discover who it is that you really want to be connected to, how to find those people, and what you need to talk about so that your relationship moves from an acquaintanceship to a close friendship. And with this program, you won't be on this journey alone. You'll have access to a private community in which there are others who are just as intentional about making the kind of connections you are. You'll also have access to live events like weekly Q&As, speed friending, and much more. You'll be able to practice your skills in a safe environment and feel confident to connect authentically when you get out into the real world. If you're ready to get started on making meaningful connections and lasting relationships, then book a friendly conversation with me so we can discuss what your needs are. The link is in the show notes. I look forward to hearing from you. All right, now it's time for the Reddit friendship advice question. If you have a friendship advice question that you think I should answer, tag me in it on Reddit. My handle is Brilliant and Resilient. That's Brilliant, the letter N, Resilient. Why is it easier for me to share some things and not others? I can talk to my friend about my cycle and lack of bowel movements, but I struggle to tell her the main issues I have and what is bothering me, even though neither are directly related or involve her. Why is that? I appreciate this one because it's very short, and I appreciate how they can talk about the unmentionables or the really intimate things that happen with our bodies. They can talk to their friend about, but they can't talk to them about the more emotionally intense things that are happening. It didn't give any examples of it, but I imagine that is the kind of comparison that they're trying to make. Like, I can talk about these really gross body things, but I can't talk about something else that's really important to me, and it has nothing to do with her. So one of the things that I talk about a lot is obviously connection, but I make this definition of connection. I define connection as much as I can. I say that it is one's demonstration that they understand how you feel about an experience that you've had. They understand how you feel, and you demonstrate it. They understand you're connected, right? And there are a myriad of feelings that we can demonstrate that we understand. And how both friends feel about the cycle and the bowel movements, how they feel about that, is equally demonstrated. It's easy. I know if I talk about this to my friend, then they're going to respond this way. It's maybe disgusting, and because they're just like, oh, this is gross, and they laugh because they both realize it's gross. They laugh, ha ha ha, that's gross. And they feel joy, they feel connected with that. So it happens with any emotion. And so the other emotions that this person, the writer, the Redditor, is experiencing may not be emotions that the other person can fully grasp and understand, or we haven't really talked about those. We haven't really gone into that direction. Or perhaps it's something that the Redditor's past experience, from their caretakers have pushed upon this idea that it's not okay to talk about these things, and they don't know how to express it. They don't have the right words to express it, or because every time they may have expressed it in their household or whomever they grew up with, they've expressed it, has been treated in a negative way. It hasn't been responded well with. It hasn't had a connection for. So they don't know what a connection looks like to talk about other intimate or scary details of their life. They just don't know what it is to do. So why is that, was the question that I'm hoping that I answered. It's just unfamiliar. All the stuff that I said, basically sharing that feeling with another person is unfamiliar to you, and it's scary, and it stops you dead in your tracks. Like, I don't know how they're going to respond. Nope, not going to do it. Not going to. So you stop. You don't. What I'd like to impress upon you or hope to share with you that maybe put into action is that you won't know until you try and you share. This is a friend who I imagine wants to get to know the real you. And it's an opportunity to share a new dimension, a new facet of who you are with them. It's difficult because it's new territory, but I guarantee you that there's a chasm between you and that person because you're not talking about the thing. You're away from them. You don't know how they think or what they feel about the thing, whatever it is that you don't want to discuss or you're afraid to discuss. Knowledge is going to close that gap for you. Once you share how you feel, what you share about your experience or whatnot, once you share that, you are going to learn how they're going to respond. And that's going to close the gap for you. It's the knowledge gap that's going to close for you. You're going to feel a little bit of safety because, wow, you understand how they feel. It might not be the feeling that you wanted. They might not be all happy, all supportive that you wanted, but at least you know. That's the first thing. At least you know. At least you know if your friendship is capable of withstanding or needs some work with showing the real you. Because if I imagine that they want to support you and they want to know more about you, and if you keep this from them, there's a chasm between you two. It's so wide, it's so large, it's just amazingly far. You're away from them. And I don't want you to be. Look, I'm like, oh, I don't want you to be. But it seems like you don't want to be either. It's rare to find people, I think, that can talk about those specific body things. There might be some amazing bond in there between you two. So the feeling that you have around it, the fear, it's so easy for me to just say, do it anyway. Do it anyway. You have to work up to it. What I recommend you do is you write down the worst case scenarios. If you're having trouble, write down the worst case scenarios that are going to happen. And that way it gets the emotion of that worst case scenario out of you. And it gets you to be able to save, you remove some of that feeling of fear. The worst case scenario, the anxiety, you put that out on the page, you put that out somewhere in a video, you just get it out of your body somehow. And you go in lighter to be able to talk to your friend. All right? Redditor, thank you so much for asking your question. I know that you didn't ask me to answer it, but I did, and I hope that it helps. Best of luck to you. Take care. My name is Coach Lee Hopkins, and you have been listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. You can find me at patternsofpossibility.com and on all social media at Patterns of Possibility. And as always, I want to encourage you to be yourself, live your truth, and there you'll make lasting friendships.